Hello. Hello. And here we are. The first Wednesday show of 2020. Hope everybody's all right. Checking out if everything is all right here. And you might notice that the camera is a little different because we got Mr. Paul right here. He's on that chair. Mr. Paul. Put it like this. So, hey, everybody. Welcome aboard. Nice to have you here. And nice to have Mr. Paul as a co-host tonight. Nice to have everybody on board. Hope everybody's all right. And if you see me running, there's a package that could arrive, but I think it won't. But it could. It still has an hour to go. I'm expecting the ICOM ICR30 to be received, but there was a problem. It was supposed to be today, and around 4 p.m., I got an email from Canada Post saying there's a problem. So I contacted Canada Post via their live chat, and the lady there said, well, I'm sorry, but we put your package in the wrong truck. So I said, so am I going to get it tonight? And she says, well, we can't guarantee it now. So, some of these things. But it still says here in the web page of the Canada Post, it still says that this is to be delivered. It's to be delivered at before 7 p.m. tonight. So, where's the Paul in his tail in the microphone? So anyways, we'll see what happens, and it'd be fun. I would have enjoyed showing you guys the ICOM ICR30 a little bit, but I guess it'll go on Friday, so I guess I will get it tomorrow or Friday at the latest. But it's one of those things you're like, it's like not getting a Christmas gift. You're like, wow, okay, I was waiting for that, but I don't have it anymore. I'm going to have it today. So, hey, everybody, welcome aboard. This is the first Wednesday live show of 2020, a new year with Mr. Paul the Cat. And, of course, everybody, Happy New Year for those that weren't there on the first show of 2020, which was last Friday. Hope you enjoy. We got a few things we're going to talk about today. A rant. A little personal comment, and a few little things that we're just going to talk about as of today that I think is of interest to a lot of people. So welcome aboard, everybody. This is the Shortwave live show. This is a show that talks about radio. We are here every week, 2 times a week. Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, 0 UTC. Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, 20 UTC. We talk about primarily shortwave radio, but anything radio in general, including anything about medium wave, long wave, and shortwave. And sometimes we digress into the VHF, UHF range when we have something to talk about. So hope that you will enjoy the show today, and that, it's kind of nice to be here on a Wednesday back. Today's show won't last 3 hours, really, because I got to go to the grocery store kind of in a little urgent mode because of a few things that I need. And so closes at 11 p.m., so I guess, we'll try to do a 2 hours and a half. And then I could go to the grocery, so we'll try it. Might be a little shorter than usual, but it's gonna be, it's gonna be a nice show. So, today, Wednesday, January 8th, 2020. Kind of nice to be here. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And I'm your host with Mr. Paul, the cat, that is right here. I think that it's a lot of fun to be here, and hope everybody enjoys the show tonight. Okay, there's two nice things that you can do. So first of all, we have a very, very cool Facebook page, which is the same name as the channel here, Official SWL Channel. Official SWL Channel. It's a Facebook page where it's kind of an extension of the show. So here we have a nice chat room with nice, beautiful people. When the show ends, well, all of these people, they go to the Facebook page. They post radio pictures, videos, whatever they're listening to, ask questions, and just have a lot of fun. It's one of the great Facebook pages. I think a lot of you are enjoying this a lot. It's really a place where everybody can feel at home, and it's really a beautiful place indeed. So, you know what? Why not join the Facebook page? So when we don't have live shows, you can still continue chatting with your friends, your radio geeks, and just, continue having fun and not feeling alone, while we do the live shows. So I hope that you can have fun there. And of course, there's this chat room. If you have a Gmail account, you can join the chat room. A lot of great people there interacting and having fun and helping me out in the live show. The chat room does help me out in the live show, honestly. So thanks everybody for being here. I'm going to start off with a very small moment that I want to dedicate to Two Hands on the Radio, because he's a little pissed off at the last live show when we did talk about him. All I want to say, we're not going to talk much about it. All I'm going to say is none of the comments of the things that we talked about mean anything or any disrespect, first of all. Second of all, you know what? I think I can speak for everybody when I say that you should take care of yourself, that we will miss your videos, truly miss your videos. I don't know how many people commented on this, telling me, oh man, I'm going to miss Two Hands on the Radio videos. And it's your personal decision to have removed the videos, to stop, doing YouTube. And I just want you to take care and be well, my friend. Okay? And you'll always be welcome here. You'll always be someone that I think we all remember the videos, and we are sad in a way to see you go. And so don't take any comments. It's easy, sometimes when we're in a certain mood or a certain way of, when things don't go like we want, to easily take everything in a way that sometimes ticks us off easily. But I don't think, and once again, I think I do speak for everybody here, that never anyone here ever wanted to either comment or say anything that would be unrespectful to you. So I'll just let Mr. Paul the cat go out. So, like I said, I don't think we have really ever, any one of us ever wanted to be any, disrespectful in any way. And I wish you all the best. And I think everybody here wishes you all the best. And hope that, who knows, someday maybe on some other platform or whatever, you'll have videos. Who knows? Take care. Okay, that's the first thing I wanted to get out. Let's go into the chat room. I'm going to then continue with SDR.HU that did a little move this week that I am not very happy about. And we're going to talk the details of that because there's a lot of things that are happening with that. Bobby Burgess, WA5107, SWL, nice to have you here from Louisiana. Edvaldo Lemes, nice to have you here. Kevin Wood, Nova Scotia, nice to have you here. VE1 TV. Randy in Riverside, California, nice to have you here. Jerry, nice to have you on board. Jerry DX. Terry Cook, nice to have you here. KF7BQ in Western Montana. Mark Elford, nice to have you here. Delva65 in New York City. Prasad Asoldekar from India, nice to have you here. And it is the first show of the year and the decade. Will I still be doing this in 2029? Hunter Carver, nice to have you here. Solar Drew, nice to have you here. Rob, nice to have you on board. Rob Fiducia. David, KJ4CMY, nice to have you on board. William Helms from Florida. Hello there. Shelley, nice to have you on board. And a cold, snowy day in Pennsylvania. Jason Stafford, nice to have you here. Glenn Zeckman, nice to have you on board. Matt, nice to have you here from Colorado. Edvaldo Lemes is from Brazil and is call sign PY4001SWL. NS360PS, nice to have you here. David is happy to see the pirate flag. Ham Extra, nice to have you here from Central Texas, W5BL. Vince, bonjour et bonne année. Nice to have you on board with a RSB1A. Yeah. And you're going to have a lot of fun with that for sure. Brent, nice to have you here from Brockville, Ontario, Canada. Chuck Yunkin, nice to have you here. Mag315, Bodies, Grundig Satellite 800 off of eBay. I think you're going to have fun. It from what I've seen and heard, it looks to be a pretty good radio. Joseph Eichenbaum, nice to have you here. I wonder if that tail gets good reception. Solar True, well, I have not purchased the ICOM SCR30. It is a very beautiful gift from Mr. Kevin J. Napolo in the WS2H in the chat room. So I was hoping to have it today, but I want to thank you, Kevin, for that because it's eventually going to be here, I guess tomorrow, because if they took the wrong truck, I doubt that in the next hour it's going to be here. I think they're going to just say, look, we're going to deliver that tomorrow. So can't wait to get my hands on that and check out all of the details of that radio. Glenn Zeckman's got his ML830 that he got last Saturday. Nice to have you here from Tennessee. Happy to see that people are having fun and are happy with their ML830s. Callum, nice to have you here, my friend. Hope you are well. And that's always nice to have you on board. Jersey Bound, nice to have you here from New Jersey. Always cool to have you on board, my friend. Always cool to have you on board. So, of course, hello there, Kevin, WS2H. Larry Massey, nice to have you on board from Arizona, KD2KMC. Rufus Newt, nice to have you on board from the Laurentian Valley in Ontario with a wind chill of minus 24. That's pretty cold. That's pretty cold. It's supposed to be colder this. We're going to have apparently a lot of freezing rain on Saturday night into Sunday. Apparently, we're going to have a good freezing rain, an ice storm with a lot of wind. That's going to be a big test for the antennas for sure. Joe Brown, nice to have you on board from Southeast Michigan. Matambali, nice to have you on board from Colorado. Rob says, enjoy any time that you spend with us, Shell. Cool. Dave Todd, nice to have you on board from chilly Niagara. Brian Vattenheimer, nice to have you on board. V3KRP, Fast Eddie, nice to have you here from Thundery, Ontario. Joey D, nice to have you here, my friend. NS360PS says the Facebook page is great. Nice, helpful people. Absolutely. And friendly people, too. Jerry, yes, finally getting an R30. Absolutely. Absolutely. Rufus Newt says Facebook page rocks. Great people. And find out what's going on. And there's a lot of activity, too. Yeah, Joey. But, I can understand a little bit because when you get in a certain mood, there were times as a YouTuber myself when things were going very well for various reasons, you get sensitive because you work hard. Imagine all the work that it gets to just get to, for example, what this channel is all about. It's and at some point something happens, and it doesn't go the way you want. It's easy to start being a little more negative and more sensitive on what people say. I remember days when it wasn't going that well, and seeing people, on the chat, not in the chat, but in the comments here, for example, saying, "Well, you know what? You don't know what you're talking about because of this and that and that." And it's the type of comment that it's like, yeah, no, you are the one that doesn't know what you're talking about, but you're trying to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. And, you feel like just saying, screw it, I'm not doing this anymore. Why should I do this? And it's not going well, and be, trolled or have somebody send me this, shitty comment. It's not easy. It's something that's not easy, honestly. You get these people all the time that try to tell you like these really these comments that kind of get you. There was one this week. It didn't get me really, but this one this week is like, wow, your live shows are so boring. I can't understand. And I'm like, yeah. Coming from someone that has one video online about his dog and that has 2 subscribers, why don't you just, get up and do a 2 or 3 or 4 hour show talking about something? Okay, then you come back to me and give me shit in my face. I'm going to tell you, at some point you get this moment where you're like, yeah, go to hell. And that's pretty much it. But when it doesn't go well, it's easy to fall in that everything you read and everything you hear somebody say gets, you give it a meaning. And I totally understand the feel where you must be up to a certain point. Being a YouTuber for 7, almost 8 years now, I can sense some of it. And that's why I just wanted to, kind of put it straight that I don't, I honestly think everybody here is sad to see him go. And that's mostly what we should just, say, we'll miss you. And that's the only thing we should actually just focus on. And maybe even, tell him thank you for all you did. For all the videos that we've seen and that were fun to watch. All the effort that you put in there. And yes, I think the majority of us will miss the videos. The majority of us will miss you, 2 Hands on the Radio. James Powers, nice to have you on board from New Hampshire, KC1ENJ. Rob says, 2 hands, you will be missed. Absolutely. Joey D says, we'll miss his page too. D-Raf, nice to have you on board. What else is there? Solar Truesdale, I got slammed by negative feedback from a cynical pessimist just for putting a screen projector on my $1,000 Icon touchscreen. I understand his pain. We all get, negative feedback. Fort Road Massive, nice to have you on board from Ireland. Northern Dawn, nice to have you on board. And he says he enjoyed 2 Hands reviews. Ron Hicks, KM4LDI. Nice to have you on board. And yeah, we will talk about the WebSDR stuff. And well, I'll give my take because we all have, and obviously some of you have a different take on it. I'll give my take on it and just say why. Because anyways, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Blues Dude, nice to have you on board from Bateau Rouge. Nice to have you here, my friend. Callum is in Sheffield, England. Cool. What else is there? BR, nice to have you here. Says, did you listen to HF last days? There was lots of activity. I listened to a lot of stuff in the past few days on the radio. And we're going to talk about solar activity today also, because it's kind of interesting what's happening with the sun right now. What else? Let's go down. Ron Deming, nice to have you here from the Oregon coast, using the Radio Shack DX394 this evening. Cool. Fastload, nice to have you here from Montreal, of course. And yes, I am fine, Callum. Absolutely. Matt, question for all the MLA30 owners. All the different sellers with recent bad feedback give me pause. How did you decide which seller to buy from? And did you have a positive experience? My seller for the MLA30 was simply based on two factors. The amount of items that he sold. That's one of the things I look at the most. When the seller sold thousands of items and his general feedback is rather good, is rather positive, you're dealing with somebody. If you deal with someone that sold only 50 items, you're dealing with a rookie. Doesn't mean he's bad, and you can maybe still trust him. But of course, when you see somebody that has thousands of sold items, and a 98, 99% plus feedback rate, it's okay. Anyone that sells 1,000 or 10,000 items will never get 100% feedback. There's always somebody somewhere that's mad. There's always somebody somewhere that's not happy with something that happened. You cannot have 100% feedback. It's impossible. But if you're 95% plus, 95% is darn good feedback, and that means that most of what you sell is great. So that's the first thing, and I took into account what price. I tried to buy it from. Honestly, I bought it from the one that was the lowest price at the time I searched for the MLA30, and the lowest price was $44 shipping included. I looked at his status of. I didn't look at the status of the MLA30. The people, what they think of the MLA30. I looked at the status of people tell me that thing is good, which I hear all around, and I took the one with the lowest price that sold thousands of items. So I know he's a good seller because he sells thousands of items, and he's selling an MLA30 for $44 shipping included. Lowest price I had. That's how I chose that guy. And a lot of you have actually purchased from the same link that I did. And most of you got it fast. A few of you said, well, I got it, but it took 5 weeks. So maybe it depends. Sometimes there could be a little more delays. But pretty much, on eBay, you got to be. There's one thing that's very important. If you buy an MLA30, and it takes 5 weeks to arrive. Well, it takes 5 weeks to arrive. It's part of buying on eBay. You don't always have the stuff you buy real fast. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, and especially when it comes from China. Sometimes it takes a little while. The important thing is to know that you purchased it and you're going to get it and that it works. Pretty much. Now, your experience and the positive experience, Matt, you're talking about the shipping and time experience or something else? Joey D. The stick antenna took a dive on me last night. Time to invest in the MLA30. No, it's a pretty good antenna, honestly. Well, Heatwave may be somewhere, but not here. I can tell you that. So, yeah, Paul was on the other chair, fast load, but now he left. He was on the other chair when we started the show, actually. Kevin, Maui was a washout for shortwave listening? What happened? Matt has WWV 5 megahertz. Callum says, been looking forward to the show this week. I'm really in the mood. I have been watching all of your videos this week. Cool. Yes, Glenn. I am beer number 2, actually. I started drinking like 45 minutes before the show. I started drinking when they told me that the package was not arrived, probably. Oh, man. What else do we have? Rodrigo Galter, nice to have you here. Kimberly, K6YYL. Dan V, nice to have you here. And 8WJZ, happy 2020. And he's in Ohio. Matt says, every now and then I get a negative or helpful comment, unhelpful comment on my posts. I just delete them. Yeah, well, it's not a free speech zone either here. What I do here is that the posts need to be approved. I like that on YouTube, having to approve posts. It's tedious because it's a lot of work every morning when I get up because I get a lot of posts. But you have a control, all the idiot comments, you just leave them. Comments that I don't feel, I am pretty open-minded, and you can say something that is not necessarily what I think, but if it's thought of, if the person took time to reflect and explain it well, even if I don't agree, I got no problem letting that comment go through. But anything that is like, well, that's junk. Yeah, wow, that explains so much. Thank you for letting us know why it's junk. That I don't let through. It's like, can you explain? I don't like this radio because of this reason. I own one of these radios and this happened. That's a comment. Well, it's junk. Yeah, you're junk. Rodrigo Galter says, World Last Chance Portuguese via WBCQ 9330 with a pretty good, let's see if I get it here. I haven't tried 9230 in a while. I'm not at all interested in the World's Last Chance broadcasting. I think it's a waste of 500 kilowatts. But it's making it tonight, that's for sure. WRMI on 9395 is really good. Really good. Yeah, really good and really amazingly strong actually tonight. With some music. 9395. Rifleman 336. Nice to have you here from Southwestern Ohio. And 8 UCN. Pretty cool. Metal benzodiazepine. Yeah, make it harder. XH did a D808, an amazing radio. Yeah, that's what we got to do, Blues Dude. Hey, Joe. Nice to have you here. Joey D, the trolling could be worse. At least you aren't doing any of this via Twitter. That's one toxic place for social media. Yeah, well, I do have a Twitter. I have a Twitter account, but it's never been really trolled, honestly. It's not my primary place to post. I sometimes don't even post in days. Callum loves the videos that I talk about my favorite frequencies. There's more to come because I haven't done all of them too. I love the one with the shipping forecast with 00 Zulu 00 Zulu. Kimberly, I know what you mean with some people being awful and very negative towards you. I have had that before. It's easy for trolls to be mean and nasty behind the keyboard. Absolutely. 3860 lower sideband. Yeah, that's one of the nets that I hear quite often over here in Montreal. And where are you located? Metal benzodiazepine. Nodelva 65 says, Two Hands really had some great videos. I toast you, my radio brother. Yep, absolutely. It was a lot of fun. Lots of fun. Let me just find where I was. Okay, here I was. Yeah, Joe, we talked about it last time about Two Hands in the Radio, and he's a little. There's several reasons coming together that made his experience with YouTube and all became kind of negative, and he decided to pull the videos down. Unfortunately, it's sad, but it's pretty sure that we all will miss the videos. That's for sure. Or if it's new keyboards, phones, messages, or masks when you're face to face, the tone changes. Absolutely, because when you're face to face, nobody wants to tell you exactly what they think. Most of them. Gustavo Pinto, nice to have you on board from Brazil. Pretty cool to have everybody here. Madam Ballet, quite alright with being called a boomer. Radioactive. Nice to have you on board, W7WXV in Central Oregon. I hope everything's alright. Oh, okay, it's back. My counter went to 0. For like the past 10 minutes, the number of people watching was 0. But my stream looks good. I don't know why. But now it's back, 139. Okay, here we are. Callum says, I have had a lot of trolls on YouTube channel, but I do not let it get me down. No, you got to be, at some point you just got to go over that. Jay Lyle, nice to have you here. WA9211SWL in Southern Illinois. Eddie SX, nice to have you on board. MLA30 on clearance at Walmart USA Select stores. The MLA30? Really? Fort Road Massive, I got mine from the user. It's constructing on eBay. Took around 10 days to arrive. So, Rufus says, I've purchased from Jill Sutter. Got here faster than the adapters. So, kind of interesting. Joe says, Ethon Elite Mini Compact is on sale on Amazon for $19.55. That's a nice little pocket radio for that price, honestly. Matt Tambali wants to know if Ham Radio Outlet has the RSPDX in stock. Matt says, I meant overall, you got what you were asking for. I know that you did personally, but was wondering what people in the chat experience. Everybody that there was, in overall, since I started talking about the MLA30, one thing that I see, because I see all the comments of everybody, and I have gradually got an idea. So what I see is that a couple of people had a bad experience in the shipping the wrong product, or something was not right. But of everything, when I look at all the comments, when I see all the comments of everybody, what I actually notice is that the huge majority of everybody has a great experience with the MLA30. And what is clearly, and what we clearly see, and I've seen it with a few of you out there, is that the experience also depends on what you have and your noise level. So the negative, almost all the negative comments that I had they're not necessarily negative, but they are people that are kind of we're expecting more because, I talk about it in such a positive way that, of course, people tend to maybe overhype also because of it. Because of my comments, they'll think, oh, that's the best antenna you can have. But of course, you got to keep in mind, and like I said already, if you got 150 feet of wire in the forest where there's zero noise, that MLA30 ain't better. That 150 feet of wire might actually be better than the MLA30. And what I've noticed in some of the people that are not necessarily negative, but don't find it to be that great in what it does, almost all of them live in a very low noise environment with long wires everywhere. They are the ones that get the MLA30 and they're like, oh really? Only that performance? Here we gotta put in perspective that the MLA30 really kicks ass when you compare it and think about it as being an antenna that's amazing for people that live in a high noise environment where an outdoor wire is just too noisy to accept. On the in the Facebook group, René Charbonnier in the Netherlands, we were talking about that. He asked a question. He says, does the mini whip and the MLA30, is the MLA30 better? So a great example, the U20 receiver in the Netherlands. If you guys have ever tuned that, it's an incredibly good and sensitive SDR, and it runs on a mini whip. So I don't own a mini whip, but when I look at the performance that place has, the SDR, I understand one thing is that mini whip seems to perform amazingly well. And once again, you got to put it in perspective. That mini whip in a very noisy environment is probably crappy because it'll pick up all the noise. And the MLA30 will be better because it will lower that noise floor. But if you add that, if you just, think about that, if you're in a low noise environment, that's where the MLA30 is not the place for it, because the MLA30 is not meant for that. It's really, really a question of perspective. But overwhelming majority of everybody that I see are all saying one thing, is that the MLA30 is overall amazingly good. And I'm still testing it here. I have the W6 LVP and MLA30 are both up, and I switch from one to the other, and all I can say is I go back to the MLA30. It's as simple as that. Current SID guy, or Currents IT guy, maybe that's the name. Good evening. Nice to have you on board. Illness and holidays got in the way. Well, I hope you're actually a little better. And greetings from chilly Lake Effect Snow Squall in western Pennsylvania. Cheers. Linux DOS. I purchased an Eton Greenwich satellite. If is true or not? It always has had problem. I contacted Eton and they said there is no schematic diagrams in our service manuals. I'm pretty sure there is a service manual. That is, even the cheapest radios I've seen have service manuals, and usually they are actually made during the process of actually creating the radio. I would be surprised there's no service manuals. Maybe they just haven't searched really for it. What exact model is do you have here? The Eton Greenwich satellite. Out of curiosity, Linux DOS. Matt's got an RSPDX for Christmas because I was good this year. So far, I haven't gotten fully into putting it through its paces and seeing how it's performed versus the RS2 Pro. So let us know, man, when it actually is when it is there. Bobby Burgess. I've been fiddle-faddling with my unlocked multi-PSK. Worth the money. Comex Z 1976. picking up WWV on 20 megahertz. Wow, cool. Cool. Okay, the Ethon Satellite 750, and they said they are built by Texan. Yeah, the Satellite 750 is the Texan. Man, 350, something like that. I got a blank here. But yes, they are made by Texan. It is the same radio with a very small change. You could, I'm sure Texan has a service manual. Texan has service manuals for every radio they make. And that service manual will work with the Grundig Satellite 750 because it is a Texan receiver. Yes, absolutely. Mental benzodiazepine says my XH data has good FM sensitivity. Love it. I would marry it, but I am worried about reception. Oh, man. What else do we have? Wow, also on 25 megahertz. Wow. Joe Brown. My MLA 30 came on a slow boat from China, but it was well worth the wait. Yeah, some, on the speed of the shipping, a lot of you got it fast, like I did, and some of you got it real slow, but most of you got it. William Moser, nice to have you here. Michael Mora, nice to have you on board from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Matt, yeah, it was California Dreaming when I checked it out, absolutely. Butterbean, lots of skip on 11 meters tonight. Let's check it out. 27025. Anything here? It seems rather quiet right now. I'm going to leave it there a little bit. William Moser just got my Realistic DX360. I love it. Been messing with the long wave a lot. Lots of fun. Cool. Blues Dude, is drinking beer required for YouTubers? No, probably not. It's part of my... I always say, because sometimes somebody told me once, well, I get this regularly, first of all. Regularly, I get somebody who's going to say, well, why do you drink alcohol on the live shows? And it's like, well, it's my thing. It's, the Shell Show with a beer. It's my thing. I do enjoy having a beer, so why not? But it's absolutely not required. Michael, nice to have you on board. And, yeah, the clock's on the other side. I need to put it on this side. I am exactly 13 minutes behind. It's true, I didn't think about that, but you guys can see how far behind I am, roughly, by checking the comments and the clock. Glenn Zeckman. I need to get back here. Okay, Glenn Segment, but remember, you're going to have some bad one, even on MLA 30. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. What else do we have? Germantown, Maryland, near Washington, D.C. Cool. Welcome aboard. Philadelphia 65, 9395 is very strong in New York. Take care, Solar Drew. Yeah, absolutely. That could be a possibility for Tron Massive. Problem with videos and having a website is that websites charge for bandwidth, and that's the biggest problem. Matt says, I created my channel specifically to have my videos where they're easily accessible and worth saving. I know I'm taking a chance that YouTube could blow them up. Yeah, I make so many videos that it's impossible for me to keep them. Current IT guy going into the hospital at the end of the month. I hope that that it's not too bad and that you're going, that everything is going to be all right, my friends. David Martin, trollbots have no face and they must scream. We were talking about Two Hands in a Radio channel where he took down his videos. Current IT guy's taking his Seagreen Skywave SSB. Let's just hope there's not too much interference at the hospital. Fast load is calling CQ on 40 meters FT8. HF Zone, nice to have you here. WA4333SWL. Linux DOS, yeah, HF bands have been pretty good, absolutely. David Martin says, my ML830 experience has been great when I directly connect to SDR or radio using SMA or SMA to PL259 adapter. For me, not so great when I clip to the telescopic antenna of the PL380. One thing you gotta understand, and what I see in general in my overall experience when I use the loops with my portable receivers, I don't get exactly the same performance, and I think that part of it is the portable receivers might be somewhat overloading a little bit. I've seen it. And I don't know if it's the way that they're designed. They seem noisier. Portable receivers seem to be noisier with the ML830 and the W6LVP than it is when I'm directly connected with my desktop or my my ICOM or my Yaesu or my RSP1A. KC9 KUH, nice to have you here. For $40, you can't complain. Spend that much on lunch in 3 days. Pretty much. Butterbean. I have nothing but long wires now. The MLA30 didn't perform as good as at all. Yeah, because if you are on, a low noise environment, that long wire is probably much better. Simon Templar, nice to have you here. Brian Penny, nice to have you on board from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Blues Dude says, what radios are behind you? Okay, let me just see the field here. So, starting here, that's the, let's do this. That's the Patrolman SW60, a multi-band realistic radio from Radio Shack from the 80s. Here is what started all of this. My first real shortwave radio, the Realistic DX100. Here below it is the Navajo TRC432 CB base station for 8 channels. This here is a very nice Grundig Satellite Transistor 6001, aka the Grundig Satellite 210. This is a 1969 radio. That radio was made the same year that I was born, so it's 50 years old right now, and almost 51. And it's an amazing general coverage receiver from Grundig. And here is the QFX boombox that I brought out. And behind it right here, there's tons of little radios. The Degen D1103, the Texan PL680, the XH Data D808, the Radio R108. What else? The Grundig Ethon Traveler 3 Grundig Edition, and so on. Tons of little radios here and there that are just behind me. So this is the radio side of the thing, of the room. More intense radio here, actually. Madam Bali, gotta say, between 500 kilohertz and 15 megahertz, steering the MLA30 away from the noise makes shortwave listening in this noise hell possible. It's not as sensitive as the dipoles or the beam, but can be so much quieter. Well, that's the loop. Because one of the things that you gotta remember is that a loop like that can never be as sensitive as a dipole or a very long wire. Because just take for a second that you put 200 feet of wire in a low noise environment. Well, that 200 feet is going to pick up a hell of a lot of signals. The loop isn't, because of its size, as sensitive it is not going to get the same strength of a signal. But because it can lower that noise floor a lot, well, it will make you listen to a signal that you would not hear. Just an example. When I use the sloper in the backyard, which is still up, my sloper is roughly 75, 80 feet long. What I notice is that the signals the sloper get is actually stronger. 80 feet of wire is actually making the signal stronger than the loops, even the W6LVP. Problem is, it's so high noise that it doesn't help. It actually is worse. And that's where the loop is cool, is even though it's maybe an S unit or two below, the noise floor is so low that actually I can listen to something. And that's what it's all about. That's what you got to understand. It's all about noise, signal to noise ratio. On Delta 65, even though I live in an apartment in New York City with noise all over the place, I can still get some good signals and enjoy my hobby. I also love camping and taking the radio on every trip. Cool. Danny, Shortwave Radio DX. Nice to have you on board from cold and windy Yonkers, New York. That's a great thing, Rob. You got to stick to love. Hate, yep, is a problem. Current IT guy says, yep, and I'm IT guy. You've got beer. I'm having single malt tonight. Cheers. Cool. Rufus Newt mix my long wire and MLA30 in a low noise environment. They both have worked well. Depends on conditions, frequency, and time. Cool. What's the choice of beer today? Well, that's nice. I like coffee too. Actually, I'm fancy, a little fancy in the coffee side of things. I like to choose and go to specialty stores and get some exotic coffee from different parts around the world and grown in different ways. So when I wake up in the morning, I actually get a good cup of coffee, good quality coffee. Right now, so the first one I had was a cranberry flavored beer. This one is a blonde beer, Blonde de Chambly. So that's what I've got. What else do we have? KC9 QH. Nice to have you here. The S2000. Yeah, that's it. The S2000. I think that's it. But look at Texon. Texon. You'll have a service manual from Texon. That's for sure. Let me go down a little more. Rufus Newt, early model 750s are plagued with problems. I own one and I love it. Yeah, it's possible. Sometimes there's quality control problems also. That's possible with these radios. Kevin Wood. I heard CHU on 7850. What were Wednesday on Monday afternoon. I was tuning around just for fun and I heard it on 7850. I'm actually hearing, you guys are in FT8, but I'm on 7150. Actually 7146. And I'm hearing what sounds like 7146 lower sideband. I'm hearing what sounds like a ZS6 station from South Africa. There's quite a few signals that I see on 40 meters right now. Apart from the FT8. Ron Deming, beer is good. Craft breweries rock. Yes. Photo Road Massive, having a few beers myself. Better than the pub. No radio talk in my local. Yeah, yeah. You're not gonna talk radio in a bar, that's for sure. Brian Vonheimer says wave scan on 7330. Really good signal. Check it out here if I hear it. Oh yeah, I'm hearing it. It's yeah, it's good. 7780 WRMI. Very good also. 7780. No problem, Matt. Good pizza time. Hey, Chev Zone. I received 21610, I believe, which is WHRI. That's broadcasting. There was only some music that I heard in about a week. DRF. Yeah, well, I'll take the MLA30 in the box that I have here, and we'll post a video on how to put it together. Absolutely, DRF. I need to put that on. Bolin191, good evening. Nice to have you here. Dave O'Toole. Nice to have you on board from Dublin, Ireland. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Almason, nice to have you here. MLA30 arrived today. Need to get some mounting hardware now. Cool. You're going to have a lot of fun. WF7I Homebrew. Nice to have you on board from Virginia. Just had our first light snowfall on Monday. Working on my multiband direct conversion homemade radio during your show. Cool. Cool. Bro Weaver, nice to have you on board. That Grundig radio, does it drift? If you're talking about the 1969 Grundig, no. And this is what amazes me the most, is that you can actually tune a frequency. Turn it off, come back tomorrow, turn it on, and it's still smack on the frequency. It's completely nuts how that radio is amazing. Glenn, Jill, you're getting old. Oh, man. Yeah, CO8CY from Cuba. Blues Dude, Universal Radio told me not to use a powered loop with my PL660. I would not say that you should never. Honestly, when I use... look at an example. Right now, these are close. This is my PL680, which is close to the 660. And look, it's powered. It is on my W6 LVP loop right now. So just an example, if I want to tune WRMI, works great. So let's try the wave scan on 7030. It's not getting 7730 as well, but 7780 is working well. I think you should. I don't see why they told you not to use a powered loop. Because honestly, it works great. It will be better than just the telescopic, especially if you have a lot of noise. I've used my W6 LVP loop on pretty much every portable. It works great. It does overload a little bit, that's for sure. Callan is listening to the BBC Radio 4 198 long wave. Cool. Of the dawn. That's nice to have you here. Get Dazed Gone. Best game I've played in a long time. What else do we have? What's not resonant? Tell me some. Yeah, like Matt says, mine, I use the W6LVP loop on my PL680, on my radio on the XH data. Sometimes it overloads a little bit on some signals, but overall works great. World of Radio. Glenn Hauser's World of Radio starting on 7780 right now. Laura Byrne. Nice to have you on board from Scotland. I just received a Texan PL660 after watching your vid. Still working it out, but picking up lots. Cool. Cool. Oh, that's for sure, Ron Deming. When you get a local power outage, that's the time to tune the radio. Roberto Rojas, nice to have you here. Chin Chin. Current IT guy says, La fin du monde, love it. Cool. I got one, actually. Do I? Yeah, it'll be my next one. Fin du monde. Nah, I'm not a Tim Hortons fan, Glenn. Really not a Tim Hortons fan. I actually miss Dunkin' Donuts. They were much better than Tim Hortons ones. And I don't like the food at Tim Hortons. I don't even understand why Tim Hortons actually works, honestly. William Moser, anywhere when the new Texan radios are out? Not right now. Not right now. Michael Langer says, touch upon any frequencies you may know about Milcom in Iran, HF beyond global HF. Not really much. I tuned into the Voice of the Islamic Republic of Iran this afternoon in English via the U20 SDR, because here I could receive it here at 1920 on 6040. Wasn't very strong. But on U20 SDR was strong enough, and basically I got it while they were doing their 20 minutes rant on how the US is banned, which is to expect anyway. Photon Massive can hear 7780. Cool. V3KRP got ZS6WN earlier on FT8 on 20 meters. Cool. Mickey Dalmage, nice to have you here. Unpack the ICOM 7300 today. Woohoo! No QSOs yet. CIDX Messenger for January was released today. Yes. Anybody that wants to have a sample copy of a wonderful bulletin, if you've never asked before, the Messenger is the Canadian International DX Club Bulletin. It is a great publication, and it was actually the January edition is happened today. Let me just check it out here. So I can maybe open it on my phone. So great little publication where you can actually learn about everything radio. It's really a very nice publication each month. Inexpensive. I have the utility column. Mickey Dalmage has the very interesting column, very interesting column, and so on. There's a lot of stuff in there, and it's really a lot of fun to check it out. So this is the small but there cover of the January edition, where we actually can see that I was at the CIDX barbecue right there, and of course pictures of the CIDX barbecue Christmas. Not the barbecue, the dinner, Christmas dinner. So really nice publication, lots of stuff in there. CIDXclub@yahoo.com is where you can ask for a sample copy. Check it out if you enjoy it. If you do, what you need to do is subscribe. $10 per year, $25 for 3 years, and lots of information about radio. Very professionally made, really, really good. Check that out, CIDXclub@yahoo.com. What else do we have? Linux DOS says, the little woman wants a new AM/FM radio for the bedroom. It's just going to sit on top of the dresser. We are in the sticks, and I tried to explain that we need an outside aerial. Yeah. Yeah. Tony Turtle, nice to have you here. B3KRP 6 meters is open to the eastern U.S. for a few hours here. Cool. I love 6 meters. Frank C, nice to have you here. New to shortwave, putting up a new dipole antenna. Which way is more desirable to listen to? I live 50 miles south of Chicago. Do I aim it north or in south, or do I aim it east and west? That won't make much of a difference on a dipole that isn't very long. Whatever suits you best, the best way. I would just say aim it in the direction where it's the least noisy. That's pretty much how you should set it up, honestly. Really. What else do we have? Jerry Krontenstaben 6115 is 20 over S9. Yep, North Texas. That's WWCR. KC9QH 7780 is 9 plus 10. Cool. Rufus Newt is not a Timmy's guy either. No, I'm not a fan. Really not a fan. Ruffleman 336, we don't either. Tim Hortons are closing left and right. I tried so many things there that look good on the ads, but you buy them, you eat them, and you're like, nah, not really, Zachary Antle, nice to have you on board, my friend. JRDX 7780 S10 Plus. Orpheus Newt 7780 good on the satellite 750 on wire. Says Rufus Newt. Cool. Linux DOS got 7780 in New Brunswick, Canada. Cool. 7780 is WRMI in Okeechobee, Florida. Right now it's Glenn Hauser's World of Radio playing. So what else do we have? Okay. I want to talk about SDR.hu because, of course, you guys saw my post yesterday. I'm ranting a little bit about that website. So SDR.hu was where most of us went for Kiwi SDRs when you wanted to tune around. Now, I understand that, that was put together to have ham radio operators tune around some Kiwi SDRs, maybe, to at least maybe know and hear when they are broadcasting, if you can, hear themselves on a certain Kiwi SDR somewhere. He has put a ham radio orientation to SDR.hu. But what changed is that this week, there's a requirement before you just go to SDR.hu and access the radios. And it was cool. And suddenly, since this week, you go there and it's going to tell you to log in. So now it requires you to register. And when you go a little further down, it tells you that you got to register with a ham call. And it actually tells you in the frequently asked questions that you need to be a ham radio operator in order to use SDR.hu. Now, that said, you can pretty much enter anything that looks like a call, and it's just going to let you through. To give you an idea, I've got my old call from Radio Budapest. So in the 80s, I was a member of the Radio Budapest Shortwave Club. And they would issue a diploma, and they would give you a call, which would start with the prefix of your country. So in my case, is Victor Echo. And then they would give you a number, and they would finish with the letters RB for Radio Budapest. So mine was VE1214RB. And honestly, I've never asked for a shortwave call, an official shortwave call, because for me, that call is my official call. And honestly, it will always stay my official call. I've never departed from that VE1214RB. For me, it was like Radio Budapest gave me a call, and that's my call, and it's going to stay my call for the rest of my life. Maybe that's why I've never actually bothered to get an official shortwave call. And I went to the website and I entered VE1214RB, and it accepted it as a ham radio call, and I got full access to SDR.HU. So I got a lot of people on my side saying, "Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and it's dumb that he's shutting it down to ham radio operators only, especially they are only receivers." And I got, of course, the other side where a lot of people said, "Well, you're whining for nothing, because I entered my shortwave call or any call and it just works." Yeah, but that's beside the point. First of all, let me just tell you one thing, because even in the Facebook group, some of you said, "Oh, well, I just enter your official shortwave call." The thing is, if you look at the terms of agreement of SDR.HU, if you want to abide by the rules, that shortwave call is not valid. Yeah, it lets you through, and you will have access. You will have access to the SDRs, but it's not. It tells you that the terms of agreement tell you that that's not valid and should not be used. You need to have a official ham radio call sign. I got another category of people saying, "Well, you're ranting for nothing. Who cares?" And I'm like, no. You know what? Why I ranted is because in times when both the amateur radio hobby and the shortwave radio hobby are slowly declining in popularity, the last thing you want is to exclude one group over the other. I am not against the fact that you need to register. Honestly, registering and confirming your email and stuff like that, I'm okay with that type of way of going to use a website. Why? I know more than anybody what trolling is all about and how some people can abuse the use of these radios. So, by having a registering of users, by having people having to register to be able to use, and up to a certain point confirming who you are, I think is perfect. It's fine, especially for that type of website and all. But my ranting really is directed at one very, very simple thing, and I've seen so many posts of people going in my direction, saying, "You know what? Why is that person so single-minded into a specific, only hams can use this and that's it," when you could just say, anybody that is in the radio hobby wants to use them, let's all be in the same boat together. It reaches also another side where in a declining hobby of both shortwave and amateur radio, I mean, look at here. We are a mix of amateur radio operators and shortwave listeners, and we all fit in really well together. I never make a distinction between both. I never want that to happen either. I don't want somebody to feel bad because he's a shortwave listener and an AM radio operator will say, "Hey, you're a listener. You're just a shortwave listener. You don't know what you're talking about. You are inferior to me." I've seen that so many times happen in the hobby. I've seen so many ham radio operators belittle a shortwave listener or a CBer. That's the kind of thing I find unacceptable. We are all in a hobby for the same reason. We're all here to have fun. We're all here to listen and have fun with our radios. So when I get that type of, of being excluded because of somebody that's just thinking that ham radio operators are the only one that should have access to a website, I find that almost offensive. It's almost like, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I can't accept that. So, honestly, I find that the decision is a bad one. If you needed to control more, there are ways to do so, and you could have included listeners. But the majority of comments that I've seen on the web actually go in the same direction that I do. It's that even shortwave listeners should be able to tune. Now, I've posted the Kiwi SDR website, which does have the majority of SDRs online that you can tune. It's not the same list exactly, but it contains a lot of radios. And you know what? You can, if you really want to use SDR.hu, you know what? Make yourself a fake call and just register with a fake call. Who cares? You know what? That's all. And all I can say is maybe we're better off using other websites that have online radios and receivers than going to SDR.hu that is trying to exclude part of the audience by just saying, well, only ham radio operators are going to be here. I don't like that, and it's I don't know. I think it's really being not really thinking much more than just I don't know. William, KC9TVN, nice to have you on board from northern Wisconsin. Pretty cool. Robin's Donuts. I've never been to a Robin's Donuts. I've seen one, but I've never been there. I need to try that. Jerry is supposed to get a bad winter storm on Saturday. Yeah, here we're going to get a lot of ice rain, of freezing rain, apparently. Before it changes to snow on Sunday. Rifleman 336, I'll hand it to them. Tim Horton has a great blend of coffee and love their honey curl donuts. After that, bland overpriced food. Let's say what I've had at Tim Hortons was coffee. I've had donuts, and I've had a lot of their menu food. One of the major reasons why I went to Tim Hortons, honestly, was a lot of times a friend of mine is a big fan of Tim Hortons. And I would go out to the karaoke bar. And at 3 in the morning, the only thing that is open is the Tim Hortons. So for a while it was McDonald's, but McDonald's now closes at 11 p.m. here in Montreal for most of them. So the only thing left was Tim Hortons in the area here. So I ended up going to Tim Hortons many times because of that and tried so many of their food. I even went there with my sister that wanted to eat something. And the donuts are okay. They're not my favorites, but they are okay. The coffee isn't bad, honestly. The coffee isn't bad. But everything that I eat there, everything I find is really no good. Michael Morris is living in Colorado Springs. WWV 2.5, not clear sometimes. Glenn Zeckman, he knows about Tim because he was going out to Abbotsford, BC for 6 months. Oh, man. Yeah, Dave, 2598 is weather, marine weather. I actually have it right now. $25.98 weather right now, which is, let's check it out. This one is from where? $25.98. EIBI space has it all. $25.98 at this time. 0, 1. Interesting. I'm trying to see which one it could be. Goose Bay, Newfoundland. 0107 to 0130. VOK. And that would be in Goose Bay, Newfoundland. And that's what I'm hearing probably here. 2598. I hear it really well here, actually. So, only since I have the loop that I'm hearing these weather broadcasts at 2 megahertz. HF Zone says, along with that, Joe is saying Bobby Burgess has confirmed that shortwave call works. Yeah, you can make up a call that looks like a call, a ham call, and it just works. Linux does. Yeah, I don't like Starbucks coffee. Yeah, he did stop Northern Dawn working. He did stop developing the Kiwi SDR software. He said that he had enough and it was over now. When I think of Sangean, I have a lot of Sangean receivers. Over the years, I've had a few. I've got an ATS 505 right now. They are overall, most of them are actually pretty good. Levy Nathan, nice to have you on board. If your loop is overloading your radio, try downloading the gain a little, for instance. Change the DX local switch. Yeah, I know, but it's just a comment like that because I know that you can actually do that in some cases. Absolutely. It doesn't happen often, but from time to time there are some, mostly the big stations like WWCR, or WWRB sometimes overloads. WTWW. It happens quite regularly. Photo Massive, 30 years ago, CBDX call sign was 29CV104. Wow. Yeah, exactly, Matt. That's the thing. The way that he created a registration system is not thought out very well, honestly. That I do agree that it's really a problem. He should have never. Like I said, I got no problem with registration. What I got as a problem is the way that he did it, and he excludes everybody else and just wants ham radio operators in there. So, you know, that's mostly the thing here. Joey D says a lot of ham radio operators act superior because they think they are broadcasters. Yes, you know, some of them do, but I think the majority of ham radio operators are fine guys that don't think they're better than anybody else. You know. But crazy. Matt says the problem is, let me just see if everything is all right. Okay, Rifleman says problem is that there are several entities that at one time issue shortwave call signs, and all of them are now defunct. I wish one would stick around. Yeah, that is a problem. I have to say, that is a problem. And by the way, for anybody, our co-host has returned. Mr. Paul the Cat is now back. Hey, Paul. How you been doing? Did you eat well? Is everything all right? He seems like he wants to go to sleep soon. So he's actually on my YouTube shirt. Because he decided that my YouTube hoodie is what is comfortable to sleep on. And so I took the hoodie off the other day, and he started meowing. I put it back. He just jumped on the chair like, yep, that's mine. So I guess the YouTube hoodie for the official Shortwave channel is Paul's hoodie. So anyways. Oh, man. DD. Yes, we are all the same. Absolutely. And Rifleman, you're right on that. I mean, that it's not like amateur radio where it's an official registry created because you you pass an exam and all. It's true that a lot of the shortwave call sign websites from the past, a lot of them have gone away. I mean, the call sign's still there, but there's no more registry of that. And honestly, you know what? That's why my call that was issued by Radio Budapest for me as my call sign will be forever. VE1214RB. It will always be. Current IT guy. Yes, absolutely. I listened to it actually this afternoon. CFRX is still on 6070. Matt says the problem with SDR.HU is far and away the best single online receiver source. Most of the ones on the web SDR network are ham bands only. Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. Glenn Segment, sorry, but how did they get into ham radio? Sorry. I will bet you that every one of the ham radio starts with a shortwave radio. A lot of them are shortwave radio, and a lot of them were CBers. You know, that also is the other side of, poo-pooing CBers. It makes me laugh sometimes because... Sorry, guys, but I was tired of watching my belly. The other thing that is hard on ham radio operators poo-pooing CBers, I mean, CB is CB. And that's what we got to say. CB is CB radio. But how many hams were CBers before they became ham radio operators? That also you got to think into account. Callum says we might get snow in England this week. Oh, really? Here, when we get snow, often we get a lot of snow. 741. Nice to have you on board. We used to have Tim Hortons here in Connecticut. Missed them. They had good sandwiches here. Really? Wow. What else do we have? Dark Noise NL. Can't sleep? Nice to have you here from the Netherlands. Ruffleman says, yeah, Tim Hortons used to be 24 hours, now the hours. McDonald's was 24 hours here for a long time, and I always wondered why they actually suddenly decided to close at 11 p.m. And apparently it's because at night there's too much problems and too much trouble, so they rather have only the the service available for cars. The drive-through is the only one that's 24 hours. Fast slow down an XM52 call sign for CB back then. Oh, the Dawn Krispy Kreme donuts. Yeah, they've just reopened one here in Montreal. We had a Krispy Kreme in like 10 years ago, shut down. And in the past year, one opened downtown. Dark Noise and I had some good propagation today. Logged a lot of contacts from Italy, Ireland, Croatia on SSB and the CB band. Cool. That's cool. Rufus Newt, 136 watching, only 51 likes. Come on. Let's click the like button. Tony Turtle, a baker's dozen. I heard came about because if the baker gave you less than you paid for buying bread, they would go to jail. Oh, really? We had a truck stop place when I was young, and they were calling themselves 13 for a dozen. And when you would go buy a dozen donuts, you had 13 in a box. Rob says, oops. Rob says, I'm here. I enjoy listening to the show, reading chat, and learning from everyone's great questions, just like listening to the radio. Cool. Yeah, do so, Linux DOS. Even Google Texan S2000 service manual. I wouldn't be surprised I'll find one. I Googled all my service manuals for my Texan receivers. I got pretty much all the service manuals for all of them. And I just Googled. Somebody somewhere has it. Kevin Wood, $25.98. Canadian Coast Guard notices to shipping. Paul is chilling, yes. Max Estrong, nice to have you here from Michigan. Fort Worth Massive, thanks. 30 years since I heard anything, getting back into it. Well, you'll check regularly Fort Worth Massive. It's not necessarily every day open, but depending on the type of propagation, including Sportic E, you could be surprised at what you'll get, for sure. What else do we have? NS360BS looked into getting a basic foundation ham license in Australia, around 240 Australian dollars, and then 80 to 90 Australian dollars per year after that. Rifle 336, hey, it's just struck me. Why don't you start a official SWL channel registry? That'd be great for morale and get people interested in the channel Facebook site. Yeah, it all has to do. There's so many things we could do, and so many things I could do. The thing is, time is limited. My time is particularly complex. And in 2020, it's even getting more complex. I have so many things that I do at the same time. The YouTube channels. I am doing some phone stuff with my nephew. I'm not saying much, but I am also thinking and working on another project to add, and at some point, it doesn't have anything related to radio, but it's going to be part of my living and my business stuff. All in in thinking of trying to make a living and trying to diversify the revenue sources, for sure. I mean, YouTube monetization has been pretty good in 2019. Right now, 2020 January is going to be my biggest January ever. Even though the monetization is kind of crappy in a way, I have doubled my views in a year. My views this year are up 100% in January. From January of 2019. Imagine, guys. That includes the Shortwave channel, where I have about 130 to 140% increase in views in 1 year. So all of that together, even though the monetization is crappier in January, it compensates. Because even if you get lower monetization, if you have a lot more views, it compensates for the loss of the revenue. So I actually have the biggest January ever now. That's happening right now. So it's pretty crazy. Prasad says, Akashwani, All India Radio, Jaipur on 5045. Wow. I was looking at some of the stuff that you post of stations you listen to, Prasad, and it's kind of cool. I look at that and like, wow, these are stations I would love to hear over here. Fort Worth Massive, all hams stem from CB. A lot of them did, absolutely. A lot of them. So, it's pretty crazy. Dark Noise and L, CB over here in Europe is quite different than in US. More polite, not so much slang. Yeah, I would guess. Here it's a pretty incredible world, CB radio over here in North America. And CB radio is fun. I have, if I'd have contacts with people regularly, I'd still use CB radio. I find it cool to talk on CB. Northern Dawn says CB radio is a lot of fun in right conditions. Or if it's new, my high school electronics teacher was a ham and got me into the hobby as a listener. Silent Key, VE3HPB. Still remember his call. It's people like that brings us to the hobby. So cheers. Michael Anger, KYK8583, CB call sign, forever, 1977. Linux DOS, the Worldwide Listening Guide, still worthy, usable. I have the 5th edition. Are you talking about the one that is a guide that is available to... Because there's the Worldwide Listening Guide. There's a book that is called like that. It's expensive. There's so much stuff, honestly. There's so much stuff on the internet that it's getting difficult to really, really find that a book is necessary. And I don't mean to, just... belittle books or anything, but it's crazy now, Glenn Zegman, no problem. It's part of what, we digress into different things here, I can tell you. Northern Dawn got Costa Coffee drive-thru. Not the best coffee. I am very, very difficult in coffee, and I can tell you there's not a lot of places that really have good coffee. Kimberly, K6YYL, was a CB a long time ago. So you were a CB chick. I'm sorry to say it like that, but I'm pretty sure that's what they were telling you back then. So time to open beer number 3. Fin du monde. Jerry says, no worries, CW operators look down hams that use FT8. Well, even the ham community, absolutely. There's a lot of bashing of the different things. I don't know how many people I've seen bash FT8, JT65, FT4, saying, well, all these digital modes aren't amateur radio. I'm sorry, but they are. And hey, there's 2 weather stations at the same time on 2598. 2 stations at the same time. So I'm guessing that Goose Bay, Newfoundland, and there's another one. So it's Goose Bay, Newfoundland. Huh. So there's only 3 stations there. Goose Bay, Newfoundland, Port-au-Basque, Newfoundland, Placentia, Newfoundland, and Les Escoumins. That seems back to normal. There was 2 stations, actually. 2749. 2749 is often Nova Scotia. Kind of interesting here. With all of that. So, even in the amateur community, there's a lot of bashing. I mean, I still remember when they decided to remove the Morse code requirement. Oh boy, that was a battle. The old guys were all saying, well, so you're going to dumb down the amateur radio license now? I can do 50 words per minute, and you know what? I don't like those sissy hams that can't deal with, Morse code. I'm sorry, but we got to go with the times. And particularly now, in times where, you know what? I'm pretty sure that there ain't a lot of young guys going into ham radio today. Maybe not dumbing it down to a point where there's no knowledge. Because I think it's important there's a minimum of knowledge required. But we also at the same time got to make it the best way possible and the easiest way possible for people to become ham radio operators. for sure. And we talked about this so many times in the past about I listen to 2 meter repeaters, and when I listen to 2 meter repeaters, I just cringe on some of the hams that have so little knowledge, talking about really the most basics of radio stuff. And you understand that I, as a shortwave listener, know a lot more than a lot of hams that are on the air. So, you sometimes, of course, it makes me reflect upon, what should we do, and how hard can it be to be a ham radio operator? Ham radio operators are supposed to be a minimum of technical in their understanding of radio. There's a lot of people that they're kind of like thinking, well, wow, you really didn't understand much of whatever we tried to have you learn to get your license, And I don't know. I think it's okay that there's an entry-level license that isn't hard to get. And there's the other people that want to go further. I mean, if you're in the entry level and you aren't going further, I think you just don't want to go further. Okay, honestly, anybody that's a ham and gets its first basic license, I mean, if you really, really love it, you're going to go further. You're going to go all the way to the top. And you will learn what you need to learn to do it. People that stay at the basic level, I'm not sure that making that level a little more difficult to get changes anything. I think there's a certain number of people that get a ham license because it's like, oh, I got a ham license, it's cool. But I have no interest in more than that. It's so, imagine. Already we were talking about SDR at HU making a separation between ham radio operators and radio listeners, like shortwave listeners. And even in the ham hobby, it's a complex thing to talk about, Michael Moore, too bad they don't make shortwave receiver for motor vehicles. Yeah, it's kind of a thing there's a Chinese one I saw the other day. I need to check it out. Zaney13, nice to have you on board from Sweden. Got the RSP-1A today and just want to go and try it out. Not be at work. Nice to have you here, Nicholas. Man says the whole CB slang thing threw me off back in the day. I'm not one much into learning lingo or making myself look like a big newbie. Apparently you need to know more than 10 for a good buddy. I never really got into that. Honestly, I didn't go into much of the CB slang. I did my own thing, and I just did my own thing and had my friends on CB. We were the gang, our gang, together. Hunter Carver, what will a MLA30 loop do for a Uniden Burkett BC365 as far as marine or ham bands? Also, can I use that same antenna for my RadioWow R108? So, the MLA30 loop is an antenna for 30 megahertz and below. So anything shortwave, anything medium wave is going to be greatly improved if you don't have much of an antenna or it's noisy in your area. As for VHF, UHF range, MLA30 loop is no good. It's not made to be used there. And the RadioWow R108, I use the MLA30 regularly on it. It overloads sometimes, but it works pretty well in general. Nick Mayakovsky, nice to have you on board. Nick Mayakovsky says to stay open 24 hours is a borderline proposition for many establishments that try it. Aside from the problems, the business is too slow from 1 to 6 a.m. Yeah, here the McDonald's probably had a good a good run because the McDonald's was near 2 bars. And at 3 a.m., I went there a few times. There was a lot of people. So there's business, but I think the problems overwhelm whatever business. Because I remember last time I went to McDonald's here in Montreal at like 3 a.m., they actually had a security guard in a McDonald's. So that means, wow, if they have to pay a security guard, it's because there's constant troubles. Dave Belisle, nice to have you on board, my friend. 6 meters was open this evening. Work a station in Midwest from New Hampshire. Cool. Dave taught at CB license XM4349115. Northern Dawn saw an article once in a shortwave listening post about a guy driving through Namibia with a car shortwave radio. Do. Mark Stevens, nice to have you here. Joey D, fell asleep last night with Shannon Vomit on in the background. Who would have thought that would be a good sleeping aid? Maybe we'll do Shannon Vomit listening aids. You want to listen? You can't sleep at night? Well, you need to listen to the soothing sounds of Shannon Vomit. That would be a oh man. That would be nice. David Martin says, running FLDG, wanted to try to decode some radio teletype. All I see and hear right now is CW and FT8. Yeah, there are times when there's more RTTY than others. The best place for RTTY is 20 meters. There's pretty much often a lot of stations. "30 meters is one of them that is there's a lot of RTTY there. Phenomenon. It's phenomenal. Jim F, nice to have you here from Rhode Island. Vianney Arsenault. Salut Vianney. Bienvenue de la Gaspésie, eastern part of Quebec. Matt says, anytime I'm scarred for life by my teacher's red markings, and no, my spelling has a side effect. Oh man. Rifle man, delegate. You have friends that could help you administer the registry and load the shortwave channel. Yeah, I know. I'm a bit of a control freak on my stuff, so but I need to learn to delegate more. Yeah, in Canada it's 40. It's like $40, and then but you got it for life for your ham license. But it used to be something like you had to pay every few years, even here in Canada. I think they just decided to it's too complicated to let's just do a registry. Glenn Zekman was also a CBR back in the day. Chris Powell. Ham radio is what you want to be as long as you enjoy it. Pretty much. Mike Jam, nice to have you here. Yeah, John Figliozzi. Yeah. I'm not sure with all the info I don't like saying that because I mean people like that work hard to do these books and to help out. If what you like is a big hard book that you can actually have the pages and want to have a great guide, it is a wonderful book. But if having a book in your hand isn't necessary, I tend to kind of say, you know what? There's so much stuff on the internet now. You have almost everything on the web right now. Radioactive, yep. There was quite an uproar when they did away with the code. Absolutely. It was crazy. Wow. Prasad says 6070 CFRX Toronto in English, clear in Goa, India. Wow. That is cool. Matt says the funny thing is that you see old guys routinely blame the lack of code for the bad actors on the ham bands, yet most of them are all 20 word per minute code guys who've had their licenses for decades. Morse code removal is not to blame for the bad actors on the ham bands. Bad actors are simply human nature. If you have a million people, if you get a million people to sign up for a ham license, with a million people, you'll get a few, people that go astray and that just annoy everybody else. So, it's, what happens, actually. So, I don't know. It's crazy. It is totally crazy. Dolph. Nice to have you here, Dolph. Says, finally made it here. Been trying since 6 p.m. Tech went haywire. Wanted to tell you the email you gave Friday didn't work. Email for what? Dee says, I have my general license, but even shortwave is a lot of fun. Thank you for your friendly chats. Ham does have its problems. Some old guys on 80 meters think they own the frequencies. 80 meters is an interesting place when we talk about that. I don't know how many times. There's so many fights, about all the nets. A lot of hams are frustrated that there's so many nets going on 80 meters and that it removes some of the frequencies. Yet, when I look at 80 meters, there's so many other spots you can actually be on that I sometimes just say, well, stop ranting and find yourself a frequency. I mean, the ham bands are quite big. There's always a place that's empty. Now, I think there's a lot of most hams, like I say, are pretty okay and pretty good. But I think there are some old geezers out there that just, think they're superior to everybody else, and that these are the ones that are probably ruining. Imagine how many to-be ham radio operators never did because they were shortwave listeners or CBers and got almost laughed at by some old guy that's a ham operator and says, "Oh, you're a CB, or you're not in the right place." Even shortwave listeners I've heard over my 38 years of radio. I've heard a few times ham radio operators belittle shortwave listeners, kind of thinking, I got belittled here a few times by some hams, saying, well, you're a shortwave listener, what do you know? I damn know more than a lot of ham radio operators actually do. I can tell you that. I'm not, I'm not the wizard. I'm not the top. But I know enough, and I know more than a lot of ham radio operators. I can tell you that. When I get into a hobby, I really get intense, and I'm intense. Well, I think that's the thing, Terry Cook, is because it's a questions and answer pool of questions. I think a lot of hams pass that. And you know what? You don't even need to have that much knowledge. Anybody that ever did a multiple choice exam knows that if you are just wise for a second, and look at each answer, you can fairly easily get that passing note. You will be a ham. You might not understand that much why a lot of that is what is doing. But you will still have your license just by being wise as to which one would be the most probable answer to a question and a multiple answer. That we all know that exams that have multiple choice are always easier to pass than the ones that you have to actually explain and do stuff. If the exams for AM radio operators would be really to say, okay, well, we've got you got to tell us, you've got a 1 kiloohm resistor, 120 volts. If you put that together, how much amps will be in that circuit, And I can tell you a lot of amateur operators would have a very hard time knowing how much amps will pass, with a question like that. But then there's a multiple choice thing that doesn't really actually ask you that much, or they ask you, but it's part of the thing. What do you know? Marvin Motts, nice to have you here. I'm an old amateur operator and very surprised at how the requirements have become extremely easy. The basic requirements have actually become very easy. Of course, compared to 40 years ago, the ham license requirements are not the same. That's for sure. But at the same time, we're having a hard time finding hams. I mean, we don't want to have stupid hams. Or let me rephrase that because it's not the correct thing. We don't want to have ignorant hams. But then again, Northern Dawn, I am planning to take my next level at some point in amateur radio. Marvin Motts says it's so easy to become a ham these days, almost similar to becoming a CB operator. Yeah. But there are a lot of good hams, absolutely, Linux DOS. That you're absolutely. Actually, I would say the majority of hams are probably really good people, honestly. It's just that there's a small portion that are crazy dumb and that's crazy. V3 Carapi says as CW popularity goes down, one has to move to where the activity is. No activity, lose the bands. Yeah, that's what's happening with many frequencies. Says they're in the process of losing 3.456 gigahertz. It's like the 220 megahertz thing, Dov says has been a ham since 1990. I use code 2, but I'm not having issues with the various types of operators and also had a CB with a license. Yeah, Didi. Today is a lot of that. Ham license. You just memorize the answer. That's true. Kimberly says the average person taking their technician test now is 54. We need to get younger people to get their license and get on the air. I'm glad the CW requirement is gone now. And we don't need CW, honestly. Let's face it, we're in 2020. Okay? I hate to say that we shouldn't have CW anymore. But and the basic level, why annoy people with that? And a lot of the younger, You know what? There's also that Tony Turtle says, I'm surprised the younger people don't like CW. It's honestly, for a lot of young generation, Morse code is old. It's that thing that, isn't that from, didn't they save the Titanic? What I just said is a phrase I actually heard. There was a young guy, and I think it was in the time when the Titanic movie was popular, and there was a young guy saying, "Oh, that's the Morse code. They saved the Titanic thanks to Morse code." Yeah, they saved the Titanic. Okay, that's that's a way of putting it. But for people, that's that. If Morse code equals okay, 1910. Unfortunately, that's the way things are for a lot of young generation, and radio in general is kind of that too. Already Mott says we are entering the fourth turning, and young are lazy and mostly want to play video games. I don't agree with that. Honestly, the generation that's today isn't lazy, but it's a very different of a generation. The generation today doesn't want to do things our way, which is fine. I mean, there's so many things that I look back in my 50 years. I'm totally in agreement with a lot of what the young generation wants, meaning that, we don't need to do that. I did that, and it was hell, and that should not have existed, actually. The problem is that what we perceive and want as old guys, because, I mean, come on, if you're for an 18-year-old guy, I'm an old geezer at 50, and we all thought like that. Everybody is in the chat room can say that when you were 15 or 18, 50-year-old men were old geezers, okay? And they think the same thing today. And you want to move away from that. I mean, just look at what we did when we were young. We wanted to move away from our parents and from people that were old, thinking, oh man, you don't know what you're talking about. I think it's just a different way of doing things. And today, priorities and the way the world is different. Today, radio isn't something for most young generation. They have their smartphones and, I mean, all that technology around them. We're trying to preserve and trying to help and wanting to preserve a hobby that's the average. Once again, we say it all the time. I am proud to say I'm bringing to the hobby because some of you are young and some of you say, well, you know what? I didn't know about any of this until I saw your channel. And I'm 20 or 25 or 18 or, you know what? When somebody tells me that, I'm actually happy. I'm like, wow, thanks to what I do here, somebody that's 20 years old learned that shortwave exists and amateur radio exists. It's part of the entertainment and it's part of the fun. I think there probably is, and I'm going to say something here that might be controversial for some of you. But honestly, the difference today is that when we were young, we all knew if you had a big family and, an extended family with the uncles and so on, we all knew a guy that would repair TVs and radio. We all had one ham radio operator in the family somewhere. And we all kind of had that moment where we could actually see that in action and be in there. Today's generation, there's less active hams. There's a lot of hams registered. Look at the call book. There's a lot of amateur operators out there. There's tons and tons of calls in there. Millions, But you look back in the 70s, there was, I think, more active hams in the 70s than there are active hams today. If we would look at 1 million hams in 1975, the percentage of those that are actually active and regularly make contact and use their gear was higher in 75 than it is in 2020. I'm pretty sure in 2020 there's a lot of those ham licenses that are just registered. Nothing happens. So we have less of that extended, I have a ham radio operator in my family. And I would tend to say that there's probably as many curious kids today that would be amazed at seeing our hobby than there was 20, 30 years ago. But they're not in contact with it. There isn't all of that possibility of being in contact with it than was in the past. So for a big chunk of the young generation, they don't even know it exists. And for those that know, well, there's always that, generation of, we talk about how, radio, that thing. Well, I listen to the world on my phone. But you know what? I don't think that is the equivalent of somebody telling us, today they don't care about radio. The one that will tell you that, I listen to the world on my phone, I will tell you that person is more of the generation will be what we had in our times. The people that would say, you're listening to that noise again. So when they tell you that guy or that girl is more in, 30 years ago would be the same person that would tell you, you're listening to that noise. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that it's not because young generation would be less interested. I think it's the young generation is less in contact with people in the hobby. So now that I talked for 20 minutes, I'm going to try to go down as fast as I can. I'm 20 minutes behind in the chat room, by the way, guys. So I'm coming. Okay. Jerry, for the shortwave and cars, I need to check it out again. I saw somebody that had a Chinese shortwave receiver for cars. I need to check it out. So let's try to get down here the best that I can. If I missed any of your questions, please ask them again. Shot involvement 3413. Not very strong, but it's there, says Matt. Check it out here. 3413. Upper sideband. Yeah, I hear it. Not very strong here either, but it's there. Definitely. Ryan PX Nin says, Shannon Vomit sounds like the lady has a sore throat tonight. Yeah, roughest nude, absolutely. Delegation is hard, but it must be done. Danny Shortwave says, I seen a Sony Shortwave car receiver on eBay. Philips had one. But I saw something. I'll need to find that. Because it's something that... Scott Reed. Yeah, 7780s WRMI. They have a lot of programming, a lot of interesting relays, Scott. The 7780 is one of the frequencies I actually listen very often on in the evenings. 93, 95 also, Scott. Okay. Yeah, Spectrum Monitor January edition is now available. Absolutely. Gustavo Pinto, you said coffee. I'm all here's from Brazil. Mark Alfred, do you have send me some cool stuff address? You mean postal address? Absolutely. If you want to send me radios, want to send me anything, absolutely. Tony Turtle were bad actors on the bands back in the 20s, so the government wanted women operators. Marvin Mott says, I live in Japan. Seems about 10% of older people obtain ham licenses. I discovered my wife had one after we were married. Wow. Dolph says 80 meters equivalent of CB in many sections, but funny, no problem in the CW section of the band. Yeah. Danny Shortwave. Oh yeah, Pioneer made one, absolutely. Pioneer, I remember. Dolph says I challenge them, pick something on the bands, and Jill knows instantly what it is and where it comes from. And when you can't find it, betcha the trolls can do that. Nope, absolutely. WF7I Homebrew, the old exams required you to draw out schematics for radio circuits. So, you know, it was a more complex thing back then, I can tell you that. Max, that's wrong. There should be a physical portion of the ham exam, like 50 push-ups or something. Yeah, we all want Arnold Schwarzenegger grade ham radio operators. I called you in CW. I'll be back. Yes, Scott Reed, 7780 is always nice to listen to. 9395 also. Fastlow says, I find most conversation on amateur bands boring. Old timers discussing prostate problems. Hey, what's wrong with prostate problems? You know, they're old hams. When I went to the doctor today, and oh, by the way, let's move to 3875 because there's a guy splashing here. We'll continue talking about my prostate problems. Linux DOS. Back in the old days, hams built most of their own gear, and much of it was experimental. High voltage is a concern. I built a tube receiver in the 80s, but it wasn't great, but it worked. Prasad is preparing for his general ham license. Got all the info. Have to start studying. Have to appear in June. Cool. Fortune Massive. Google QRZ lookup. My brother's call sign is EI6IL. Sierra setup and picks. Cool. Marvin Mox. Let's go down. John McClure. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Linux DOS. Remember Jay Leno's show? Texting via phone versus Morse code. Oh, man. Oh, Max S. Wrong. That's kind of sad. Max S. Wrong saying ham radio is where shortwave listeners go to die. Oh, man. Ruffleman what was the signal sent out by the Titanic for distress? It was CQD. Back then, SOS was not yet official. It was CQD. That was the official distress call. And that's what the Titanic sent back then. And one of the problems with that was that not a lot of boats had radio rooms at that time. But CQD was what was sent back then. Prasad says on the 6900, getting a beep after every 10 seconds. Does it seem to propagate up and down, like stronger and sometimes fades out? One of the things that happens when you listen to the radio and people tell me, I got this buzz, this beep, this. Sometimes they're always saying, oh, where it comes from. Because one of the biggest problems is like trying to differentiate beeps from local electronic gear in your home or neighbor and actual beeps and sounds that come from shortwave. And for that, I always say, listen to the beep. Is it always steady at a very steady level? Say you get it at S7. It's S7 constant. Okay, it's a local stuff. If it moves up and down, it's sometimes S5, moves up to S9, goes down to S5, S3. Okay, you're listening to a beep that comes from somewhere on shortwave for sure. David Martin says, push-ups too demanding. Just be able to touch your toes. That also is going to be tough for a lot of people, David. Kimberly says, CW didn't die out when the CW requirement ended. It is still alive. The best thing is you want to learn. By all means, learn it. Absolutely. Chris Powell. Getting your ham license is easy. It's up to the operator to educate themselves to understand the hobby. Yeah. Thanks, Das. USA Coast Guard is going with digital mode Olivia. This is what I heard. Okay. Duff. If you're lying on a respirator in the hospital, you can use CW to give a message to your loved ones. Yes, absolutely. I can remember some members of the club with failing health just does that. Oh, man. Michael Morris, sometimes I wish the smartphones were not invented. There would be less traffic accidents. Oh, that for that, yeah. Pretty sure. The amount of people that are stuck on their phone in the cars is crazy. Marvin Moss, absolutely. That's what I say all the time. It's a transceiver. Our smartphones are transceivers. There's a receiver, and there are several receivers and transmitters in there. It's really an evolved form of radio. Absolutely. Good night, Rodolva65. P3KRP says he did the shortwave CB route to amateur radio. I wouldn't have changed any a thing if I had to do it all over again. Been a ham for 40 years and enjoy all modes. Everyone finds what they like and operates such. Absolutely. Absolutely. These DOS phones are sophisticated handheld walkie-talkies. Pretty much. Pretty much. But we put it in a way it doesn't look like that. People don't understand. They don't understand where we are and what it is today. That's the thing. They just don't understand today that we are using a transceiver. This is a very modern and technologically advanced transceiver with digital modes, you know. Yeah, Danny Shortwave, absolutely. David Mitchell. The romance of radio has been lost. Yeah. Kind of. Matt says the thing kids didn't experience was expensive long-distance phone calls. Oh, man, yeah. These were so darn expensive back then. It was crazy. We were getting ripped off by the big phone companies. Fort Worth Massive, 3413 strong. Cool. No problem, Scott. But do listen to 7780 and 9395. In the evening, there's a lot of stuff going on up to about 02 or 300 hours. Lots of relays. Lots of relays of stations, too. Matt says directed nets are more interesting than rack shoes. I don't see rack shoes lasting forever. That's a vestige of times when you had to pay $20 for a long distance call to complain about your health. Yeah. Yeah. Dave Belay says one thing I like about CW was the Q signals. It allowed you to get basic information no matter what language you spoke. Yeah, well, they still exist. It's not just a CW thing. The Q code is in every type of transmission mode. The Q codes can be used for voice or digital transmissions. But they are nice because they are giving you the possibility to speak with somebody that doesn't understand your language. Absolutely. Mike Hanna, nice to have you here. Been listening and cooking at the same time. Nice to have you here. Yep, Titanic Marconi equipment with high power spark gap, Dolph. Pretty crazy. Keegan, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. What else do we have? Tony Turtle. Our generation made the smartphone, yet we complain the younger gen wants to use them. Yeah, kind of. Shelly Sykes says, my problem with learning to use my receiver is that I am a visual learner. And since radio can be a lonely hobby with no one to show me things, it's hard to learn. That's why I rely on videos. And that's why this channel exists, actually. Because, there was I get at least 1 or 2 comments a month of somebody saying, why did you do a video of that? It's so easy to understand. And it always comes down to, might be easy for you, might be easy for me, but somebody uses that video, and actually it seems to be quite important because look at the views. There was one that I posted about single sideband. Somebody said, wow, what a basic video. Really annoying. How can you post that? And I came back to him and said, yeah, it's got 15,000 views. I guess 15,000 people found it annoying and really, non-interesting. I mean, no. A lot of people, I don't know how many videos that I posted about the ham bands, the modes, that ham radio operators getting their own license told me, you know what? I found your video and thank you because I couldn't understand that. I understood with your video and you helped me pass my ham license. I mean, Mass S. Strong. Children should be forced to listen to shortwave like eating their vegetables. So tonight, you're going to eat their broccoli and listen to Voice of Korea. Take care, Tony Turtle. Oh, man. Mark Alford says, when I worked up under Alaska on the ocean as an emergency mechanic, I made a satellite call for 4 minutes and cost $32 US. Youch. In 2005. Keegan, early this morning, listened to 680 CJOB Winnipeg. Under KFEQ, St. Joseph's. Wow, this is cool. I need to do more medium wave DXing. Lynn Crosby says, I bet a lot of us put a crystal radio together when we were young. I think it was the first kit I ever bought. I had $10 in my pocket. I remember the story is pretty much I had $10 in my pocket. I went to Radio Shack and I saw this crystal radio set that you could actually build in 15 minutes. And I thought, this is cool. No battery required, no power required. I'm going to listen to AM, really? And the kit, I think, I had $10 and the kit was like $7.99. And I got home, I built it, and I followed the instructions. I remember being in the bathroom because I would ground myself to the sink. And started tuning around. I was like, oh, wow, I'm listening to stations for real. I am actually listening to AM radio stations. Crazy. Dolph says, I'm not sure I ever heard a CW conversation. Not in English, but the other cool thing is I can copy CW in old movies if it's a real. Some are. Yeah. I'm not very fast at decoding CW when I listen to it, but I remember a TV show or a movie. I can't remember which one. And I was sitting down, and everybody was. There were. I don't know what it was all about, but there was some Morse code in it. And everybody was sitting, and we were watching, and I'm like, thank God. At least the Morse code is real in a movie. Because there's nothing worse than having fake Morse code when you send out Morse code in a movie. And, it's like when you watch a movie and they have all of this gear because they're talking to another galaxy, and you learn that they have a Kenwood receiver. It's like, not even a transceiver. It's a Kenwood receiver. Or, even if it's a transceiver, you're like, yeah, that's a Kenwood or an ICOM all-band transceiver. It stops at 10 meters, they're not talking to another galaxy on it for sure. You know, it's like, yeah, come on. Only the radio geeks that we are can see that, you know. Linux DOS says there's a whole lot of confusion about working digital modes. There's commercial, VHF, UHF, HF digital modes. Someone will say it is easy. Yeah. It isn't really easy. HF digital mode, software, hardware, cables. No, it's not that easy, honestly. Hey, Solar True. Nice to have you here. WF7 Obrew. I think even if we know the topic of your video, it is still fun and interesting to hear someone talk about it and get their perspective. Often, even when we think we know a topic well, someone else talking about it will teach us a new aspect. Absolutely. Totally true. You will learn things that you might not have grasped the concept. And yes, we all have our own way of bringing a topic, you know. Shelly Sykes says, I'm grateful for the videos, but now I have to find out what the heck dongles and rag shoes are. You rag chew on your dongle. That sounds weird. Rag chew on your dongle. Okay. Dolph says, I was thinking, Joe, perhaps you might like some ham stuff. Maybe you will get a call sometimes. Yeah, I'll try to get my call in 2020. Absolutely. And I do have a Yaesu FT450 here, transceiver already. So I need to take the time and sit down and get my call. Absolutely. Keegan says WWV S5 out of 5. Wow. Prasad 7270 All India Radio in English. No, Chennai English Indie service. Okay. I don't get it here, that's for sure. 7270. Let's just check 7270. What's here on 7270? Nothing. And there's something that is a ham operator. Well, there's a station on. Wow, there's something on 7265. Anybody getting 7265? What's that station? 7265. At this time would technically be Voice of Turkey, apparently, in Spanish. I hear something, but it's not strong enough to really make out. But apparently it would be Voice of Turkey in Spanish. Huh, interesting. John Williams, early morning, 75 meters has been great in the States these past few days. Also hearing a few Canadians as well. Sound like they are standing right next to me. K5DVT. Nice to have you here, John. William Helms, remember the commercial where you could save money on long distance calls if you could hold off making them until 7 p.m. Yeah. I remember the first time I had connected to a BBS, bulletin board system, with my 300 baud modem in 1985 or something. It was a long distance BBS. It's the only number I knew, and I would call after midnight because it was like crazy expensive. It was like, if you did it in the daytime, it was like 70 cents a minute. You did it between like 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. It was 50 cents a minute, and after midnight, it was like 20 cents a minute. And I would call after midnight, and I would actually look at the clock very intense because I didn't have any money. So, of course, 20 cents every minute was like, oh, man, I already spent $2 after 2 minutes. Crazy. I gotta do what I gotta do as fast as I can and hang up. Crazy times. Crazy times. Jay Lyle, I'm going to tune WWV and listen to that for 30 minutes or an hour. I've done that a few times when I'm messing around the house. You know, I actually do tune a time signal station when I do something else, and I want to just make sure propagation is working on a certain frequency. The other day I did that. I think 30 minutes of 20. I was on 20 megahertz. I let it for like 30 minutes or an hour. Absolutely. Matt, long distance used to drop 20% at 7 p.m., 60% at 11. We would all do that. We would all do that. Direct 3K. I remember watching your video of the market share of Windows 7 and Windows 10 both close to 50. I saw your recent one, Windows 7 26. What year, month do you think Windows 7 will be 10? Oh, man. I think it's going to take at least a couple of years for that to happen. So I'll do a prediction here. And if you're still around in 2023, June of 2023, we'll be below 10% for Windows 7. Because right now we're almost 27%, so crazy. And anybody of you guys out there with Windows 7, just make sure you're safe. You get your last patch Tuesday next week. Oh, man. So true. When I was my teens, made lots of long distance calls for free. It was call freaking. Oh yeah, I had that. I had recorded the tones from my Commodore computer on a tape, and would play the tape from my boombox to do free long distance. Crazy times. Yeah, Keegan, 7850 CHU. I heard CHU in Montreal for the first time in a long, long time. I think it was Monday afternoon, 7850. WF7i Homebrew. How many of us had Radio Shack 50-in-1 or 200-in-1 electronic project set? I had them all. I had the Crystal set. I had the VHF set. I had the there was the solar project one. I had the 50-in-1. I had the 200-in-1. I would build them over and over and over and have fun with that. 150-in-1 with the wooden. You guys remember the 150-in-1 was the wooden box with solar panels on the top. I would actually have fun building the AM receiver, and I actually had built an audio. I had fun with that because I had several of those kits. So I actually purchased, actually built the AM radio and the 150-in-1, and I would actually take the output of the audio, and on the other kit I had the audio amplifier done. So I would just jump the wire to the audio amplifier so I could actually listen to AM radio without having that earbud. And I would listen to stations on the AM and put the 101 kit in the sunlight just for the solar panels so that they can power the radio. And I found it so cool. I was like 14 or 15, and for me it was so cool. Solar powered radio with the amplifier listening to AM stations. I was just so cool. Man. Brings me back now. Dolph, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. Hams called the teachers Helmers. I had a few great ones, and Joel is every bit an awesome teacher, and Elmer too. Cool. Thank you so much, man. That's what I want to do. I mean, we are here to have fun. We are here to be a gang having fun with our radio hobby. And we are here also to, I'm here to try to help out everybody. I always say it. If I had this resource in 1982 when I started, man, I would have been the guy watching all the time that guy on the internet, which existed but in a very different way back then. So, you know, I'm happy to share the knowledge, and I'm happy. I'm not perfect, and I don't know everything. Some of you are so knowledgeable in certain aspects where I actually am a total newbie. And I think that's what makes it cool here, because we all complete each other in different things. And if I say something dumb, you guys correct me, and we're all okay. Keegan, 5085 WTWW is 5 out of 5. which at this time, I believe, 5085, I think has... Yeah. It's Ham Nation, an amateur radio show right now on 5085. Pretty good signal here tonight, actually. 5085 kilohertz, WTWW. That's alright, Dolph. I'm a slow CW guy also. And sometimes what I do is I record or I'll listen several times, you know. Matt, I think the Canadian amateur radio license is pretty much the same requirements as the FCC's one. We're following each other pretty close on that. Honestly, I go to the Industry Canada website, and I almost always have more than 80% every time I go to the question pool. The only questions that I need to learn more are the regulations. These are the ones that baffle me a little bit. But apart from that, I'm always like above 80%. Yarabamba, nice to have you here. What's your take on de-expeditions at remote locations? I have seen some programmed for 2020. So I want to do a lot more than I did in the past few years. I've been a little, I think I've been a little lazy on the expedition things, and I need to do more. And I will do the expeditions with an MLA 30, which will be very, very interesting to see. And I also want to do some de-expeditions doing like RSP1A, the expeditions with the laptop and stuff. I'm going to check that out because I want to really, really ramp up this. 2020 will be the expedition year. We're going to do a lot of it. Chris Powell, crystal sets are cool. A bit many of those when I was a kid. Even built a couple of as an adult. Even built a Foxhole radio that only required razor blade, graphite pencil, and coil. Look, when we say we're kids inside sometimes, I'm just going to show you what I did this week. So for those that follow the Facebook group, you might have seen this. So I got solar panels here. I was actually doing a cleaning some stuff and removing stuff, and I found these two panels, and I thought, oh, look at that, solar panels. So I actually wired them together, and these are 6 volts. So I wired them so that they are in parallel, so that I get more amps or milliamps. And I can power almost any of my portable receivers in full sunlight with these. So I've been having fun. Doing that. And I was like, after like an hour, I was like playing around with this. I was looking at myself and I was like, you're really a kid inside still. You still want to just have fun, and like, this is just so cool. You're powering a shortwave radio with solar panels. And I think probably most of us have not lost that child we are inside. Vianney Arsenault says, yes, I have something on 7265. Probably Voice of Turkey in Spanish. Prasad says AIR bleeding on 7265. Mickey Dalmage, 7265 in Spanish. Huge in central Alberta. So it's Voice of Turkey in Spanish. Michael Mora, 7265 S2 in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Jay Nile is getting some CB skip in southern Illinois. Let's try it out again. Maybe it's, is there anything happening right now? 27025, just out of curiosity. Doesn't seem to be much activity on 11 meters, but, No problem, Prasad. Time for the news. Rufus Newt, BBSs were brutal on my phone bills. Oh, man. First one massive. No, I love Windows 7. Danny Shortwave says, I tested MLA30 because the knock was the loop couldn't tune beyond 15 megahertz, and I heard WWV on 20. So the loop tunes well. Yeah, it does. It does. I hear WWV on 20 quite easily. Dolph says, CW decoder XP has been updated. It's free and awesome. Interesting. $53.61. 5361. Do I hear anything here? 5361. I got nothing on 5361. I do have 5357 that has a lot of FT8 mode right now. 5357 is FT8 mode. But nothing on 5361. Oh, 5341. Sorry. 5341. Okay, you're getting the radio teletype. 534. Probably what you're getting is what I'm getting on 5339. I got radio teletype on 5339. So maybe that's what you're hearing. Dolph says, I had a kit. My dad gave it to me. I still have the 301. I got rid of him, but I should not. I should have kept them. Yeah, 5341 is not in the allocated amateur 60 meter band. Andy Coley, nice to have you here. Thank you so much. He says, you are the best show on YouTube. Cool. Cool. Jerry, can you do split screen to show your SDR display on half so we can also see your radio? Yeah, that's coming soon. I'm working on making all of that happen, Jerry. I do realize that there's a need for that, and I will actually do it. Absolutely. So in the next few weeks, we'll be. I'm actually doing a lot of tests lately. So there's going to be a big change coming up soon. The Hobbs says many times you'll notice the right answer on the test is the longest one in the list. But don't tell anyone. Danny Shortwave says still have that 50 in one kit from Radio Shack. Hopefully I can use it with my 5-year-old son. Oh, that'd be cool. He'd be learning electronics and maybe be one of us, totally amazed. Totally amazed. Leaves us, yeah. Rob says your solar panels are great and no need for batteries. Absolutely. I find it so cool. So cool. WF7i Homebrew. I saw the solar post. That was cool. Keep building things, Joe. It is addictive. Absolutely. The little kid in me wants to continue doing that. I have a lot of fun with that. Matt says, I'm making my old Windows 7 machine for SDR usage. I'll just keep it off the internet. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you don't have the internet on it, Windows 7 desktop or laptop, use it for something like an SDR and you know, with all the decoding software and have fun and just, you know, don't go on the internet and that's it. It's going to work for years and it's going to be great. Callum's still there. Cool. Luis Eduardo, nice to have you on board from Brazil. J. Lyle says 7265 S9 Plus. What else do we have? 7265 in Spanish is Voice of Turkey. No, it's an encrypted. What I have here, 5339 upper sideband, which might be what you have, is an encrypted form of radio teletype. J. Lyle's got New Zealand on 15720. 5130 should technically be WBCQ normally. They use that frequency from time to time. It's not making it here. But yeah, that should be WBCQ on 5130 kilohertz for sure. For sure. Linux Dodge. I told the little woman that you said she needs an antenna for the AM FM St. G, and she said, really? Now I'll be responsible for whatever fight you have now. You'll come back someday and say, because of you I lost my woman. Dow says Avast antivirus still supports NP. Well, most of the software will still support. Avast still supports Windows XP? Really? Wow. Are they desperate at that point? Hey, Clark Jelson. Nice to have you here from Southwest Wisconsin. Solar Drew, yeah, David Martin's 5340 doesn't look like a legal. No, it's not. It's not a 60-meter ham signal on 5339. So, hey guys, I'm just gonna do a little roundup here because I need to go to the grocery store. That closes in an hour from now. So first of all, anything you gotta donate, okay? If you want to have radios to donate, or you want to buy me a radio, want to do something, look, official shortwave radio at gmail.com, radio donations accepted. That's what I'm going to say. Now, if you want to give me a little something to help me out, remember that I'm here all the time, and that I do two. I have 2 shows a week, and we're here. We talk for hours at a time, have a lot of fun. I mean, look. There's a poor little kitty. Look at that poor cat. Look how he seems so miserable. And remember, your donations can feed him. He's not fat enough. He could be fatter than that. But look. Does he look so miserable? Come on. He looks like one of those cats that's been awfully, manipulated and is obviously really, really stressed out. So, oh God. Yeah, I'm going to stop saying stupid things. So, paypal.me/shortwave, where you can donate something. If you're on PayPal, you can send the donations to PayPal. Donations go to the Yahoo email, which is here. And hope that you enjoyed the show. You can become a patron at patreon.com/radio and computers. You like what I do? You know what? It takes a lot of effort, lots of work. I'm here all the time. I mean, just imagine a world without these shows. Imagine that starting tomorrow, no more shortwave show. You'll be all alone with your radios. So thanks for everybody that donated. Thanks for those that donate. And don't forget, it helps me out, helps me, pay for the stuff that I need. And greatly appreciated. And, of course, like I said, you can donate a radio. If you have radios, lying around and you don't use them anymore, you know what? They'll have a really good place here. And they'll be used, loved, and there'll be tons of videos with them. So you can also donate a radio. Of course, you don't have to donate money. Ah, man. What else do we have? So Jay Lyle says he uses an old compact laptop for decoding on his ICOM 8600. Works great. Absolutely. Rufus Newt, get Paul food. Yeah, poor guy. He looks so skinny. Zenit 13, nice to have you here. Yeah, the 60-meter band, like Matt says, is very restricted, and I think it's 5 channels, and it's secondary only. So that means that you might need to be careful, because if the primary user is on the channel, you gotta just stop using it and so on. So Callum says, hello, show, long wave, medium wave. Yeah, it's all fun. All fun. All fun. Absolutely. So, hey, guys, I'm going to say goodbye for tonight. Thank you so much for being here. The next show is Friday. So, Friday we will be January the 10th. And we will, of course, be here at 20 hours Universal Time. That's 3 p.m. Eastern. And hope that you enjoyed the show tonight. It was a lot of fun to do. KC9QH. KUH says Radio Verdad in Guatemala. 4055. Let me check it out here. It's very weak here tonight. Sometimes it's stronger than that. Remember that Radio Verdad on 4055 is barely a kilowatt. It's like 700 watts. So if you hear it, it's really cool. J. Lyle says, bands are great tonight here, 31 meters. I wanted to add before we go, we got a new sunspot on the sun. Another one from Cycle 25. The last 4 sunspots in the past 2-3 weeks, all been Cycle 25. I think 2020 is gearing up to be the start of the rise of Solar Cycle 25. I think this is going to be cool. And Keegan was able to listen to International Radio Report from CKUT. Yeah, the archives are now finally working, I think. So CKUT.ca, there's a show called the International Radio Report. Sheldon, me, and David are doing this show Sunday mornings, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 15:30 UTC. You can listen live, CKUT.ca. You can actually look at the archive and listen to our show. Hope you enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, and I'm there every Sunday mornings on CKUT 90.3 FM, a real FM station in Montreal, which is kind of cool when you think about it. So take care, everybody. Have fun. Stay safe. Love the love that you guys are giving me. And thanks so much for being here, being great fans. Without you guys, there'd be no shows. See you Friday, 20 hours Universal Time. Stay safe, my friends, okay? Love you all. And let's continue giving love to our hobby. We're at the greatest place in the world. Listening to the radio and having fun together. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.